Welcome to the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show. I am your host, Mr. aka Jeffrey Mr. Right beside me is my beautiful wife, baby mother.
And I'm your co-host, Mrs. Mr. aka Dana Mr. And together we are the
Misters. And today we got some beef. Well, not beef.
We just have a dilemma here.
Disagreement.
Yeah.
And we need y'all help to solve whatever. And I feel like more couples have this disagreement too.
And of course, my philosophy is always we have to agree to disagree.
Some things you can't agree to disagree on. I agree. I'm gonna disagree with your agree to disagree on something.
Okay, well,
because some things you can't disagree. You got to.
Right.
Sometimes you got to get on with
Right.
it. You got to make an agreement.
Right. But before we do all of that, we have to do the theme song.
1 second. Before we get to, let everybody know what we disagreed about, so they can see what we're talking about this episode today.
So we're going to be discussing: is spoiling your mate a good or a bad thing?
Is it good or bad? So I know what women are saying. I know what y'all thinking. Is it a good or bad thing? We're gonna represent today. We're gonna change it up a little bit too today. So stick around. Is it a good or bad thing? If you a fella listening right now and you're listening, like, you need to spoil me. Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, and that is true. Yeah.
Is it now?
Alrighty
Is
then.
it now?
So
Is
get
it
into the theme song. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Alrighty. And 5, 6. I'm counting down 5. Laugh, learn, love.
Come on.
Laugh, learn, love.
Hey.
Laugh, learn, love.
It's the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show.
Laugh, learn, love.
Hey.
Laugh, learn, love.
Hey.
Laugh, learn, love.
It's the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show. Yeah.
Let's start the show.
Yeah, you tuning into the #1 relationship marriage podcast in the world. The #1. I said what I said.
Yeah.
I said what I
Yes,
said. I stand by it. The #1.
Yes.
I'm claiming it is. It is the #1 podcast.
That's it. Claim it and receive it.
Yeah,
Yes.
you did. You
Okay.
did. #1. So tune in. Thank you.
Yes.
Where we've been married 13 years, got 2 kids. We've been through a lot of stuff. So we talk about relationship, marriage, all that stuff. Like we talk about today, selling in the eternal debate has been going on. Happy wife, happy life. Is that true? Is spoiling your mate a good or bad thing? And so before we even get to that, every episode, we talk about laugh, learning, love on every episode.
This is a little segment we like to call
Whose Side You're On?
And today's question is, if a new vehicle is purchased, who gets to be the main driver? Whoever has the oldest car or the wife? And of course, you know what I'm going to say. The wife.
Why? You have to give your why. Why is that? Why you want?
Because I just believe, because I said so. No, this way.
See that?
But I just believe, as the head of the household, you will want your wife to make sure your wife is in, especially most of the time the wife is usually one that's transporting the kids to school and all that stuff. So you want them to make sure they're in the newer vehicle, the more reliable vehicle. You don't want your children and your wife stranded on the side of the highway.
Nope, you don't.
You don't want any of those things. So, I would definitely say the wife should get the newer vehicle. Let me prime example. It was so funny when I remember back when Jeff and I first got married. I had a 2000 Malibu, and it was a Chevy Malibu. And when we first got it, when we got married, or whatever. I think after a couple of years, because I was like, after
no
I paid
kids.
it off,
We had no kids.
yeah. But we didn't have kids, but the stuff after I was still his wife, right? And so what ended up happening was my I remember my car just started sputtering, just started shutting down on me. I'd be driving on the interstate and it was just starting decelerating.
There was a Lord trying to humble you, trying to get you down.
And you think Jeffrey would be like, well, baby, you could just utilize my car and da da da. But no, it wasn't.
My car was older than yours, though. I think.
But it was a '99. But he had a Honda Accord. Everybody know Honda's gonna. I mean, no shade.
Wow.
But I'm just saying, but you'll think Jeffrey would be like,
Shout
well,
out
baby.
Shout out to Chevy.
Yes. Well, you think he'll
sponsorship.
You think he'd say, well, baby, you drive my car. No. That didn't happen. I just continued to drive it around, and my car would just cut off on me. Until finally, we went to the dealership, and I ended up getting me a new car. So I believe that as the head of the household,
the man should
give the newer vehicle to
he should drive the Gremlin his entire
That's not
life.
necessarily a Gremlin. But of course you're gonna say.
This is your time. I want to respect the fact that you're
I'm good.
And so, just to be honest with what she's saying, just to solidify that, you're saying your stance is the wife should get the new vehicle.
Correct. Oh, most
regardless of every time.
Yes.
His whole life. Brother worked hard all his life.
No.
Don't put it in your mouth.
Don't put anything in my mouth. No, what I'm stating is. What I'm stating is, like, for example, okay, so, like, when I got a new vehicle, my thing is, if you didn't want the Chevy Malibu, you kept your Honda, okay? So then, so it just goes down. You pass the car, so it's not to say that person gets
my car was older.
Car
this is a great example for us. My car was older.
But we're talking about dependability and reliability.
Dependability. It seems like, the older car, it sounds like you wanted to be in the older car.
But don't put words in my mouth. I was just stating what I said what I see.
Hey, you did say that. And thank you.
Of course, what you're gonna say?
Mine is saying that the person who needs the vehicle, not necessarily the wife necessarily there. So I think the man. This is what society.
That's not the question, sir.
So let me go back to your question.
If a new vehicle is purchased, who gets to be the main driver? Whoever has the oldest car. Or the wife. So what's up?
Okay, who's the oldest car or the wife? Good question. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you for clarity.
Of course.
So I would say the person with the oldest car should get the vehicle. And so, just like in our case, she had 3 cars.
No, that's not true.
Car. You did. You had the Chevy Malibu. You had the
Honda but you can't count the Chevy Malibu.
That's one. That's one part.
No,
okay, you talking about upgrade?
Upgrade. Yeah.
Okay. Well, she upgraded like Beyonce 2 or 3 times.
Oh God! No.
So let me get my point.
Okay,
across. So my point is saying that the person with the older vehicle should be the primary driver. And I say this too: men and women drive differently. They could be switched up. When she was driving Chevy Malibu, she would drink like those little kid juice boxes in the car. Hold on, she was just sipping.
Oh my God, that is not true.
Hold on, let me finish. I was respectful. She was drinking her juice box, and she just tossed it back.
No, that's true. That's not true.
You had your time. Let me say mine. Skip. What shit is skip? And so we're going to get to the debate in just a moment, man. You're going to have your chance to say your piece of what you got to say. So I would say the person with the oldest vehicle, regardless of gender, because women have fought for equality for many years. They burned bras. They went through and they are fighting for equal pay now. And I feel like women should get equal pay. And I think the only fair thing to do is, it seems that women only want equality when it is efficient for them. Oh, hello. Please, women, before you throw your stones, hold on. Before you throw your stones, my mom is a woman, my wife is a woman, and I do have a daughter. So thus, I am an ally to the whole women movement. I just want to say that equality does not stop in the boardroom, my sister. It does not stop in the workplace, my sister. It also applies in the vehicle, as I hit my Jesse Jackson finger as I go to the side and saying, so if we want equality, we can't pick and choose when we want equality. If we want equality for us, I'm going somewhere. I said something. And so anybody who's listening right now knows the truth as it hits the airwaves, or you listen and watching on this video right now. And so thank you. So make sure you subscribe. You do that too. But I just want to say this. If you want equality, women, you cannot pick and choose and say, because I am the woman, I need to have something.
Oh my God, so that's what it is.
What you talking about?
Oh my goodness, this conversation
gonna go deeper
wrong. Because I think that's the reason why you feel like, that's the reason why everything is such an equal thing.
No, it's not.
No. Because you feel like your rationale is that women as a woman, because you feel like that I'm an independent woman and all of that stuff, that you feel like that I want equal, so everything should be split down, everything should be equal.
I'm saying this is what y'all want. Y'all wanted the equal movement and what's happening. And I'm for that. I'm a pro ally to that side. I'm just saying in terms of a vehicle, I don't think a man should work 80 hours a week to drive a Gremlin at that point. That's what y'all said. You said, like last week, you said you wanted men to be slaves. Oh.
Anyway,
now you
so whose side you're on?
Please tell us, because we got to have this debate right now and get this out of the way. Please, I know sometimes.
Are you on the side of Mrs. Mister where you feel like, as the head of the household, that you should want your wife and your children in a safe, reliable, dependable, newer vehicle? Or are you on the side of Mr. Mister?
Where I said the most logical answer here in terms of selecting a person with the oldest vehicle. So thus equity and thus putting yourself in a equitable place that you fight for in the workplace every day and that you deserve. You do not need to make less than a man doing the same job. Probably doing 2 times harder what he's doing. You deserve equal pay. And if you say yes to equal pay, you say yes to Mr. side. So whose side are you on? So please, in the comments, please, y'all, please. I know some people tell us in person, please drop this in the comments or send us a message or whatever at mr.mrs.mister on Instagram or the Mr. and Mrs. Mister Facebook page as well. Please drop this in the cut, because this will settle the debate, because she doesn't believe me and I don't believe her, so we just got to settle this way. So whose side you're on?
Yes, so drop it in the comments.
Hold on, I felt that.
Wow, so many things I'm learning from this podcast. Okay, so now for the learning part. So
yes, you ain't.
Go ahead, of course. Go ahead, baby.
I don't want to. No. I want to step on.
Your hands are cold.
Because I'm cold as ice, baby. Hello.
And you're not twice as cold.
See that? That's when people get a little bitter. You see, I don't know if y'all can hear her hands rubbing together on this side, because my answer was so cold it froze her in what she was doing.
No, I'm just cold. I just turned up the heat. Second of all, I'm extremely exhausted.
So these all sound like reasons of why she's trying to preach her. I think don't just go with what you think about that. So let me say the learn part about this today. We're gonna switch it up a little bit today. We're going in a debate fashion. So we're gonna go in a debate fashion today. We're gonna shift this up where we're gonna do 3 2-minute rounds. And so to answer this question that we have not been able to answer ourselves in 13 years of marriage and 2 kids later, we're still at this point about is spoiling your mate a good or bad thing? I'm gonna save my responses for when this goes on. So you think about this. Which one of y'all spoil each other in a relationship? Both of y'all? One of y'all? None of y'all? And so, but is it a good thing though? Is it a good thing to spoil your mate? To spoil your spouse, to spoil who you with right now. Does it make them love you more if you spoil them? We're going to talk about it. So we're going to shift this whole first time doing this on the podcast. She's going to have 2 minutes to give her response of why you should spoil your spouse, or why women should be spoiled. I think it's where she's coming from. We'll see. And I'm going to give my rebuttal of why spoiling your spouse is a bad thing, horrible, awful thing, and what we're talking about. So, are you ready, Ms. Mister? Are you ready?
I believe I am. I believe I'm ready.
So, we're going to face it. You want to face each other? Let's face each other.
Oh, goodness.
The debate. Don't slide it. Just glide it. Here we go.
Already. Okay.
Okay. Here we go. It's on.
Okay. So, of course.
Start your 2 minutes.
Okay. You go. So good. We doing
I'm doing 2 minutes on the dot. All right, let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
So the thing is, I can't take up your 2 minutes. So got it. Okay. So you got a chance to go. So I hope you're ready, because I'm coming with it. You ready? And 3. Are you ready to rumble? 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, reason number 1 why I feel like it is perfectly okay to spoil your spouse is, first of all, you can't over spoil your spouse, okay? If you married that person, they must be a pretty good person, right? So, as a lot of times we spoil our kids, we give our kids all of that. So what's the issue? Why can't you spoil your spouse? Like, why can't I be wind down, like told, like I'm beautiful and taken out and seeing the world?
Get flued out.
So one thing is, if you married a person, you know that person have turned out great, and so pretty much that person, they have already been raised. You know that they're hopefully they're a selfless person. They're giving their all to you. So why can't you give your all to me? And so I believe you should always put your spouse first. It's always God, and then it's your spouse. And I just really feel like, we have to come back to the point to whereas, when it was first, before the kids and all of that stuff, before work, before careers and all that stuff taken off, it was your spouse. Your spouse was in there. I was there. And my thing is, I deserve, I feel committed. I deserve to be, I deserve to be spoiled. And I feel like this is Jeff and I. Seriously, this is a serious conversation between Jeff and I because he feels like okay, I paid a house and all this stuff, but it's beyond that. It's about making me feel like I'm number one in your life, point blank, period.
You got 30 seconds spare.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
So, and I'm not saying that he's not, but I'm just saying I just feel like that, a lot of times, especially when you look at your spouse love language. I have long legs. I don't know what you want to do. I'm uncomfortable. But, if you want your spouse.
Hate to cut you off, but I will.
All right, go ahead. So, 2 minutes for you.
Let me get my thing up. All right, so... All right, I got mine. So, you heard her now for my first round, if you don't mind. All right, are you ready to rumble? 3, you want to hold this for 2, 1, there we go. So, you heard her response right now. My first rebuttal to that of why you should not spoil your spouse is, look at spoiled children. Close your eyes for a moment, America, International, Africa, wherever you're listening or watching in right now. Think about spoiled children. Nobody likes spoiled children. Look at the schools and whatnot too. You see kids who have an abundance of everything. Every video game, PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, everything else. And does that make them better? Have you seen a spoiled child in a restaurant lately? I saw a child cuss his mother out because he wanted the 8-count chicken nuggets instead of the 4-count. And this was in Chick-fil-A, the land of the Lord. And so, to spoil your spouse, that same thing applies. So, would you spoil your kids? And does that make them love you better? No. Mrs. Mister herself was just talking to the children about, I treat you so well. She went out of town to Ghana. Great mission trip. The kids were not spoiled the way they were spoiled with her. And they came through loving the hot dogs with light bread folded. Oh, yes. So what I'm saying is this right here is spoiling has never worked out with kids, and thus it will not work out with your spouse. So am I saying don't compliment them or do great things for them? No. What I'm simply saying is this. If you give overly what they need and what some of the things they want, if you give everything they won't be with you. And so I had 10 seconds left, and I want to say this. She had a guy that gave her everything. You know what she said? I didn't want that. I need somebody that's going to help me be me. Her own words. Thank you.
Time up.
I risk my
Okay. All right. Okay. Number 2.
Hold on. You ready?
Yeah, I'm
so,
ready.
Second point, first point. Oh, pow. Who won that first round? I think, hey, let me take my shirt up. Okay. Make sure you come with it now. Because I'm going to come, my second point going to come with it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right.
Go.
In 3, 2, Dana Mister's second round. Mrs. Mister, let's go. 2 minutes.
Putting your spouse first means that you're also putting yourself first. Okay? It's better. Putting your spouse first makes your marriage better. Putting your spouse first means you're also putting your marriage first. It is a win-win situation. Okay? You find a babysitter, you take her out, you give her chocolates, you buy her new vehicle, Tesla Model X. So go, and it's kind of like what I'm saying, go with the golden rule on this one and treat your spouse even better than you like to be treated. Though you shouldn't be spoiling your spouse with the intention of getting anything out of it, more likely than not, they're going to reciprocate the love. So again, it's a win-win situation. Putting your spouse first means like, it really goes back to the same, like, and y'all know the scripture. I got the scripture at the end. But it's like, you know, loving your spouse like Christ loved the church. And like Christ gave his life for us. Like there's no better gift that anybody could ever do. So my thing is, I'm not asking, my prayer is that Jeff will give his life for me if it should come to that. I really doubt it. But
wow.
You say you can't even spoil me by giving me. Like,
that's different. Yeah. That's different.
But no, just like, but I just really feel like it's a win-win situation. It really is. Like if you put me first, or if you spoil me, you just like being more vulnerable. Oh goodness, I may be saying something. But you know, being more vulnerable and all of this stuff, it would be a win-win. It's a win-win because I just feel like that. You know, I just feel like it's a win-win. You know, yeah. This may not have been the best.
That's good. No, you did good. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. That's your time. Yeah. That is your time. So that was Mrs. Mr. Round 2. Did she throw some blows? Did she land on her we shall see. Did she land on any of hers? Let me get my second point down. All right. Okay. Boom. All right. I'm ready. 3. Mr. Round 2. Press the start button. Let me know.
And go.
So, all right. She made some good points there. She said, hey, put your spouse first the way Christ did. We all love Jesus, right? And so, of course, you can't argue with that point. But what the point I'm trying to say is what she's really alluding to is happy wife, happy life.
What is wrong with happy wife?
She said happy wife, happy life. And for women, of course, women are watching this like, yes, that's all I need. Do everything I need you to do, and life will be great. But you know what is the main factor left out of that? You know what's left out of that? The man's feelings. That's the reason why most men die early. Because they've worked their whole lives to make that woman happy. And you know what they do? They leave that woman with insurance, life insurance, for her to live life with another man. So fellas, happy wife, happy life, lies. Vicious, dirty lies that we can't go with. And so spoiling your spouse only makes them a point that they feel that they're entitled to what they're getting there. How many people you know at work that feel they're entitled to the job? They go above and beyond not to do the work because they feel like they have somebody else there. You also make them lazy. Do you want your spouse to get heart disease or blood pressure or cholesterol because you're doing everything for them and so you're feeding them and wiping them out? No. Love does not do that. Love pushes them to be the very best that they can be. And so if you're married to somebody, you're married not to make them happy, but so that your marriage can shine a light so that God can get the glory. And so what it sounds like when it says happy wife, happy life is they're taking the place of what God wants them to be. Oh, hello. I said something.
4,
I said 3, I need 3 seconds to say
2.
Happy wife, happy life is lies. Oh, right on time. Round 2. Back to your corners. Oh, she took a couple uppercuts in that round. Oh. Okay. I don't normally hit women. I don't hit women at this because I don't hit women. I want to make sure this known. I don't hit women. But I will spar with them.
Let me tell you something. So. He sure does not hear women. Now that's
because I love it.
That's
just like I said before, love comes in different forms, not in the way that Hollywood has done it. So, okay, you ready? This is the last round. This is round 3. Round 3. At the end of the round 3, we'll get a chance to do our final arguments. We'll take that, and then you be the judge to sell this. We have not, 13 years, we have not been able to sell this. So, round 3. Are you ready? Boxers, touch gloves. Touch gloves, please. Boxers, touch gloves.
All right.
All right, hold on. 3, 2, 1, rumble!
Okay. You know, Jeffrey stated that spoiling your wife will make them lazy and all of that. I don't know. We're not talking about 2 months old. We're talking about full-fledged grown adults here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe it's fine. I think we have to realize that it's fine to serve our spouse. Because when you serve your spouse, it's going to be reciprocated. Also, it simplifies that if you're not spoiling your spouse, it will help you. It will remind you daily not to take your spouse for granted. Okay. So what I mean by that is spoiling your husband or wife shows him or her that you still feel the same for him, regardless of how long you've been together and what you've gone through. So it's good to get dressed up, go on a date night, remember this was the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams. And I feel like a lot of times as life has gone on, I think we have to reevaluate to make sure like, hey, is that person still the person of my dreams? Because once you stop spoiling your spouse or significant others, it could lead into other things. You know what I'm saying? So it could lead into other temptations. There's lust, all those things. So you want to make sure that you continue to spoil your spouse. You want to remember those things that you did from the beginning. So by putting your spouse first and letting your spouse know that you're thankful for them every single day you've been together, and your marriage will stand the test of time. Another thing too, it brings back the romance. It's just like, when you first started getting, and I know I'm not talking about to be out, but when you first started dating each other, when you first started dating with each other, you did all these things. You wrote love letters. You took each other out. Like, my thing is, what you doing? You call each other, what you doing? Well, what you doing? Oh, I'm not doing nothing. You stayed on the phone talking. Hold on, because I really got to make this point. Like, seriously. So I forget the point. Forget that. The other thing is, you did all those things.
We'll spoil you with more time.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So, today. But, we did all these things, when you first got together. You stayed on the phone. I remember Jeff and I used to be on the phone, like, just not saying anything to each other. Just listen to each other breathe, because you yearned to be around that person. You yearn to spoil that person. And I believe what happens is with life and with careers and with children and whatever else curveballs that may come our way, we forget those things. And so again, you could call it spoil it, but I call it love. And I feel like this: if you truly love that person, you're willing to do anything for that person to make it right. And that's all I have to say. And I meant that. Like, you are willing to do anything. You could call it spoil. You could call it love. People may say, oh, you spoil your children. No, I love my children. And my thing is, it's about teaching them responsibility, but it's nothing wrong with giving them the desires of their heart. Because guess who gives me the desires of my heart? Jesus Christ. Hello, somebody. And that I'm out. Drop the mic. Close the book. The end.
Yep. And so I would just like to, all the listeners that are listening in right now, please disregard everything after the bell, because there was something. She had 2 minutes. She went like 4 minutes. But we got to a point. So it's too bad that they can't keep that in consideration.
Yes. You can keep all of that in consideration.
You see what I'm saying? So this is the point.
Okay, 2 minutes.
So you just did 6 minutes and then come. Okay, all right. So here we go. Final round 3. Boxers, touch your gloves. So 3, 2, 1, go. So all right, Dana made some good points. Mrs. Mister made some good points about how she equated spoiling with love. It's so sad to hear such a misconception about what love is. Love is a choice. Love is something you wake up every day and you choose to whether those things are there or not. And so, not saying that they don't help those things, but it does push you in the essence of saying, we've been told what love is. And love is, sounded like from what she was saying, was a feeling or something that you do for me, a condition. Love is unconditional. I think people listening here know that. And so everything she stated landed on a condition. And you know what I want to say? What I want to say about this, another point she made that brings up my third point about that, God doesn't spoil us. You know why God doesn't spoil us? Because he knows what happened. The Israelites, just look back at the Bible. They had everything. When they had everything, that was a problem for them as they walked through. And so many of those things were an issue for them, and they kept going back and forth. They kept going back and forth. So as a scripture I have right here, since she likes to pull up scripture, Proverbs 25:27 says, "It is not good to eat much honey, nor is it glorious to seek one's own glory." It's saying that in moderation, everything in moderation. She quotes a lot of scripture. One scripture she forgot to quote here is moderation. It's good to do those things she said. If a man, if you got your woman flowers every day, eventually those flowers don't mean anything. So it's about moderation. So it's about moderation. It's about moderation, and this is
okay. All right.
She's had her time to talk, and she does get flowers at those times. And so, but many times, what we're talking about is this right here. Hold on, let me, because I got receipts, boo. And so what I want to say, is this right here. I got it right here on the phone. So what I want to just say is this right here. In terms of moderation, in terms of if God doesn't spoil us in the sense of this, let me get my extra time too, since she got extra time, is to say that you can love somebody by helping them grow in different ways. And many times we can look at, if you go back a couple podcasts before, she talked about the 80-20 rule. Many times it's easier to look at the things that you don't have than the things that you do. You see how I use her words as a debate for her.
But the thing about this, today we're talking about spoiling your spouse. And I get the 80-20. I get all of that.
So that's
what I'm saying is today we're talking about spoiling your spouse. And the question, it had nothing to do with the 80-20 rule.
It had everything to do with the 80-20 rule. The fact that it does have anything to do on the point that I'm making here, that you had your time to say you were going to get busted. And so, but I love you anyway. And so the point that I'm making is, I agree to those things. Those things are great things to do that you started with, continuing to work. 13 years is still work now than it was in the first part about that, because you got to keep, any fire you start, the first part is always the roaringest part about that fire. You know how you keep that fire going? Is adding logs and doing those things as you go through. The first part, you don't have to add as much because the fire is just start blazing as you get through. So you have to continue to add logs. And so also, too, being reflective about ourselves and what that looks like. I think our definition from hearing what you're saying is different in terms of spoiling. I'm thinking my definition of spoiling is the fact of doing everything for a person. So in terms of everything for a person, to where you chop up the food, you wipe their mouth.
No, I think we just have two definitions of spoiling.
I think so. Your definition sounds like in terms of doing things that
I don't need. First of all, I don't need. Okay, for most people, I think again it goes back to, and this is really, I guess, the challenging part for a lot of women. Especially women who be on their grind, be on the hustle. It's like society has said, oh, well, you're doing this, you want to be equal, so everything has to be equal. But for me, I have stated, I feel like God called me to be a wife. I feel like it's a purpose of mine is to be a wife.
Okay.
And so I do feel like, but again, because I'm about to wrap up my thoughts and go ahead and do my closing argument.
Okay, you want to jump into your closing argument? Hold on,
and I'm just going to close my closing argument with a scripture.
Okay, you don't need your whole 2 minutes then.
So, I don't need my whole 2 minutes.
Okay.
But Ephesians 5:21 is stated instructions for a Christian household. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husband as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In this same way, husbands are to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one ever hated their own body, but they fed and cared for their body, and just as Christ does the church. For we are members of his bodies. For this reason, a man would leave his father, and you guys know, leave his father and all of that stuff. This is a profound mystery, but I'm talking about Christ and the church. However, each one of you must also love his wife as he loved himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So,
You got 39 seconds. You want to sum it up
So
into a thing?
I
Close the
just,
argument.
basically, I
What's your
just
last
feel like that, and I know you said God doesn't spoil us and anything like that, but I do believe God blesses us. And my thing is, I don't know, I honestly, the way my life is set up, I feel like God does spoil me. You know what I'm saying? So I truly believe his blessings, he truly blesses us exceedingly abundantly. And I believe God does know what we're able to handle. And as a spouse, you should know what your wife wants, what your wife's expectations are, and what her desires are. And you should be willing and yearning and wanting to learn and grow more about your spouse and be willing to do those things for your spouse. Because like I stated before, it is a win-win. It's a win-win. Like the more you elevate your spouse, the more you be more vulnerable with your spouse, the more you talk about your dreams and your goals with your spouse, the more you wine, dine, just make her or him feel like they are the king and the queen of your world. It's a win-win. It will be reciprocated. And otherwise, your wife or your spouse will feel, if you're not doing those things, they will start to feel neglected. They will start to feel abandoned. And it could lead to a really, a terrible downward spiral. So it's better, you save a lot of money in the long run if you do certain things by addressing and I'm not talking about just material things. Let's be correct here. I'm not talking about material things, but also meeting the needs of your wife emotionally, again, by being vulnerable, spiritually, making sure that she's being fed as well. So it's a lot of things. So it's just not about the material things, but it's beyond that.
Okay, that's good. All right, so your closing arguments there. My closing arguments here. Thank you. I want to thank you all for listening today. I'm Mr. Mister. I approve this message. And I want to say that one thing that I want to get to first off and foremost is every album you listen to of artists you had, the best album they came out with was their first album. Why is that? Because they're the hungriest part about that. Notorious B.I.G., Biggie came up and said, always keep an intern mentality. He said it keeps you on your thing to kind of push your way. I think what she stated was some great points about, I think you should love your spouse. I think you should listen to their love language and whatnot too. My point that I was making through all these rounds and what I'm talking to you right now is the fact of that loving them comes in different forms. And so when you love them, definitely jump in their love language. And we're gonna speak more about love languages too about that. But I think just in terms of what I wanted to say was that spoiling them though, it doesn't drive the results that you're wanting to get to. I think a balance between needs and wants. I'm not saying don't do anything for that person. I'm simply saying be smart about that on both ends for the man and the woman on both sides. And so what you're doing is you're pushing them to say, hey, I choose you in those situations, and I want to make the most of what that looks like. And so when you get a chance to push there, being reflective about what am I doing for my spouse. Many times you want to say what's being done for me. I think that really goes to the happy wife, happy life of you do this for me and I'll reciprocate that. Is also thinking about being proactive there about like what am I doing for that person itself. And I think for society's sake, I think most of the time it's the man doing things for the woman. And I feel like men should do things for the woman.
You want to go back to the scripture?
No, I got the scripture there. No, but what I'm hearing is the fact is, not from that scripture part, but I'm saying just in terms of this debate holistically in couples, is the fact that men...
But no, I said if you treat your king and queen, if you treat but it takes the man to lead that though. You know what I'm saying? It's the man that's supposed to lead.
So I guess question that I get from guys all the time is, what happens if they're doing those things and they feel like it's not reciprocated? So they're not doing it for reciprocation, but
because this is
so they're not doing it for reciprocation. But what happens if that man or that woman is not reciprocating over an extended period of time? How would you say that person should go to them and say, hey, like, what am I not doing to where?
Because the thing about it is that spouse may not be addressing their needs, but maybe addressing what they feel like their spouse wants.
So you're saying that the spouse...
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, what could happen is, a lot of times, I think we make assumptions of what we feel like our spouse need or want. So what we do is we love, that's one of the things about love languages. We love people.
It's coming. We got to jump into that. So that's a good topic.
We love people how we want to be loved versus how the spouse wants to be loved.
Okay.
So what you do is, for example, my love language is service, right? One of my top ones is service, right? Acts of service. Jeffrey, one of his top ones is affectionate and, being intimate, right? But my thing is, if I love Jeffrey by serving him, well, that may not be Jeff's top love language. Like that may not be your. So if I'm loving him the way that I want to be loved, I'm not necessarily feeling your love tank. I'm feeling mine, but I'm not feeling yours. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. We have to, I think that's what we make the assumption, this is what our spouse want, versus asking them, what is something that you need and want from me?
Okay, that's good. So what would you say then to somebody that's not?
So you need to. So if you feel like if your spouse, male or female, mm-hmm. you feel it, because some women they go above and beyond, and they feel like their spouse is not returning to, their husband mm-hmm. returning back to them. True. So I would say this. I would say go to your spouse and say, hey, maybe I'm making the wrong assumption. This is what I'm doing it this way, but this may not be what you need from me to fill your love tank.
Okay. Yeah. Just kind of hear what they're saying, have a conversation.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. So people who have asked that question there, I don't get that question a lot of like, hey, I'm doing this and I'm not getting reciprocate. Men, I hear that from a lot. Women too, you may hear from women as well of like, hey, I'm doing this, like I'm cooking him dinner, I'm doing this, and he will not.
And you also have to keep in mind this too, guys. Like, you have to make sure you're doing it with the right intentions. Because, again, if you're doing it genuinely, wholeheartedly, out of the goodness of your heart, then you wouldn't be keeping score. I think that's another thing, too. We keep score. Okay, let me do this. Check for me. Let me do this. Check for me. Let me do this. Check for me. It's kind of like you just have to make, okay, for example, because I have to use the parent-children relationship. We do so much for our kids, knowing that we probably not going to get anything in return.
I'm getting full circle back. You speak them for yourself. I'm getting a complete return.
But listen, just hear me out. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times when we give to our kids, especially at this age, I mean, our prayer is that they grow up, they be successful, productive citizens, and do well in society. That's my prayer. They do good. They be kind. They go do amazing things for many people. They make a difference in people's lives. That's my prayer for my children. So, but as a parent, right now, we give. And we, honestly, for me, we don't expect anything in return. Like, I'm not expecting for Malia to come pay me, or I'm not expecting, but she shows me by her kids. It be simple things. She shows me with her kisses. She shows me by saying, Mommy, you're the best mommy in the world. She shows me by just coming, like tonight, she wanted to give me 7 kisses. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm saying, no, I ain't want you to go to it. No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good, that part about what I was saying is, I definitely agree with that point. I don't know if that is the same analogy that we would do with our spouse, saying, hey, the little things they're doing equates to that same thing. I think with kids, because as kids, we're like, oh, they can do the 7 kisses there.
But what I'm stating is, like, you have to really kind of have to take on that mindset again to say, okay, I'm willing to give my all. Like, everybody have to bring their all to the table and put it all on the table. That's what I'm saying.
True that.
Go ahead.
But if somebody's not bringing it to the table, let's say, I know. So recap what you're saying.
I'm just saying, like, so you're saying if somebody, so it's been a year and nobody's bringing it.
So I'm not expecting I'm doing this because I love you.
Well, I think when it goes back to my original point.
There's a point in time that people
but what I'm saying,
it
goes back to the original point. You may be loving the person the way you want to be loving. You want to be loved versus loving the person that they want to be loved.
So what I'm hearing you say is,
and then if all else feels shady, you just go to counseling and keep it moving.
So yeah, but what I want to be clear about what you're saying is, because I think this affects a lot of people in this conversation. We probably can go deeper in this conversation too with the love languages coming up real soon. So stay tuned to that. But in terms of, you're saying, if I am hitting Dana's top 3 things, right? then 100%, 90%, 85%, whatever you're saying in regards to that, she's gonna say, my love tank is filled. Now let me go see what his love tank needs are, and let me fill his love tank, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. You're saying that. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that there are people saying that is not, like, they've talked to them about that. They're doing those things.
That's when it must be a communication. It's a breakdown. Something is taking place. That's what I'm saying. Something is taking place. Either a couple of things. I'm just gonna put it out there. Either that person have gained interest in something else or someone else. It could just be in life, just busy and kids, and so it's different things that could be taking place that could be taking that spouse attention from their significant other. So I would say it may be time to go to counseling, because now you need to get to a deeper root. Because it could be a lot of things. A lot of, people put up barriers based on things that happened in their childhood, or people put up barriers, or it could be a trust issue. It's so many things. And so you won't be, if you feel like, to bring it all the way back around, if you feel like that your spouse, you are giving your all, and you have did the top 3 love languages, you doing all of those things,
you shooting your shot,
all of that stuff, then my thing is, this is where you have to just have an open dialogue with your spouse and say, I feel, a couple of things you can say is, I love it when you 1, 2, 3.
You taking my shot.
I love it when you 1, 2, 3, whatever those 1, 2, 3 is. Or you need to just say, hey, I love it when you do 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. And now, I don't know what's going on. Do we need to go to counseling? Is there something there, you want to sit down? Is there something going on in your life that I don't know about? Because it's a deeper issue. Yeah.
So my point, real quick on that. Mm-hmm. On it is, I think that most of the time that happens, I think sometimes it does not translate into the other side from what I was thinking in terms of like change. So like, let's say I'm having to change to do something else. Change is hard, and it takes effort and energy to do that. And so if there are other things that are zapping that energy and effort, you're like, well, I'm feel almost like, just like on Thanksgiving or like a holiday or something, you full, and let's say the garbage needs taken out. You're like, some people, not saying everybody, some people will jump up and hop up. Some people are like, whew, that's going to take me having to go get the thing. I go downstairs. I got to drop, drop it off. It takes effort to change. And so I think when change is happening like that, you start to say, hey, like I can do a little something there, but maybe not to the level that could get to that point. Or I will just kind of breeze over that. So I think one other thing is to like pushing yourself to change. Is it comfortableness? Am I getting lazy in a situation, or comfortable, I guess would be a good word in terms of that I don't want to change out to do whatever else. Because, when we speak different language, we come from different homes, we come from different things, and so to meet the other person's needs, I have to get outside myself and be selfless, kind of like we put our vows before. You know what I'm saying? Like, that selfless takes work. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes I'm tired, I don't want to do it. But will I make that extra effort to do with it? We're gonna have to jump back into that. That's a lot to kind of jump into that. That piece. Yeah, go ahead and get this thing. So yes. So you heard all the rounds. You heard the logic from some of us, and you heard the shade a little bit. And so please let us know so we can settle this debate ourselves. 13 years or longer in the making, maybe 14 years in the making this. I don't think we had this debate this entire time, but I think it's here for us right now. So you always sell this for us. We're going to go off what you say. Don't just go off the gender. Go off what you heard. Go off your logic. Pray about it. Put the right response. Who are you going for? Mrs. Mr., Mrs. Mr. Mrs. Mr., Mr. Mr. Ooh, exactly. And so just go in there. So,
okay. So for the love, before we go, commit to spoiling and pushing your spouse to one thing this week. So we're going to challenge everyone. We're going to challenge ourselves as well. It's okay, guys. Let's spoil each other.
That's not what we're saying. That's not. We're saying one to spoil and then one challenge. So it's a compromise between both of us. You said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What is wrong with spoiling yourself?
All life is such a game.
Whatever. Spoil your spouse, people. This
Do
week.
not spoil your spouse if you want them to be the very best version of who they are. And when a boxer don't get through and say, "You hungry?"
But I think it goes back to we just have two different definitions.
That's why I was saying it's a compromise of those things.
But I think we have two different definitions. I think you looking at, well, Dana's just gonna sit up here. I need somebody fanning me and feeding me grapes in my mouth. You know, that's not what I'm saying. Like, we grind, we hustle, we do all of that every day, all day. The thing is, at least, like, yeah. So anyway, so let's commit this week to spoil each other.
And that's one
spoil each
side.
other.
And to challenge each
spoil
other. Challenge each other. Challenge. Push me to be the very best I can. I can't get that in comfort.
But I think you misinterpreted that. Just because you're spoiling your spouse, not pushing. If anything, you're still pushing your spouse to be the very best that they could be. That's not what.
I don't see how they
spoiling. No, what I'm saying is you still. I think you have this mentality.
Spoil means what? What is the definition? Somebody Google what spoil means. Spoil means to do in abundance. In abundance, what is necessary there. So let's say.
But I don't see anything wrong with that. My thing is, me being spoiled is not going to stop me from being on my grind and my hustle. Like, because if you marry again, no. Because the thing about it is, first of all, you married this person. You should know this person. If you know this person, I'm already an adult. My thing is, apparently, I must have done something that I did right to where you wanted me to be your wife. And the thing about
vice versa.
Yeah, so so it's nothing wrong with. So I can't take away 36 years of all these values and stuff being instilled in me. That's just not gonna fall away by you spoiling me. Like, it's just not. Like, that's not you spoiling me. You spoiling me. Now, I'm not gonna be like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna steal you at the house. That's not even in me. I can't just sit at the house. Like, I can't. Like, it's always have to be on my move. Always on my grind. So I think again, but I prefer to be wine and dine, and because I do work so hard and I do grind so hard, it is nice to have someone to appreciate that and like, hey, you know what, my boo is on her grind. Let me show her how much I appreciate her. Let me go buy her this Tesla.
And that's what I just.
And that's a joke. That's a joke because that was a joke. That's a joke. But but that is a joke. So yes, because we was talking about.
She talked earlier on today, so I get that point. The rebuttal I just want to have is just.
We have to go.
No, we gotta go. Hold on. No, we gotta go. No, this is exactly the point. We don't never have to go when you have to finish your point. I was quite right there. You gonna listen.
I do love having the last word. I ain't gonna lie. That is something I am working on. I love having the last word.
It doesn't sound like you're working on it though. It's like you're still stuck in there.
Yes,
I'm gonna make my point quick, like I have to do.
Okay.
Like I have to, because there's no time. I can be finished at this point to get to that. So what I'm simply saying is, for the most people who are pro spoiling, is the fact of, is it a reciprocal thing, or do you enjoy the getting, or do you enjoy spoiling somebody else? So my question for the people who reluctantly are going to vote for spoil because they don't know better, what I want to say is do you enjoy just the spoiling, or do you enjoy spoil? Let me change that. Do you enjoy being a spoiler, or do the spoilee? Oh, I said something. That's the word to end off of. And so if the question is, I enjoy being bashed upon and given those things, is that selfless love? Is that selfless love? If you can't say amen, say ouch.
So make sure you spoil each other this week.
And challenge each other. Just have this conversation though, really and truly. If nothing else happens, just have this conversation. If you spoil her,
and we're out.
And so
5, 6, 7, 8. Laugh, learn, love.
What you said?
Laugh, learn, love.
What you said? Don't spoil them.
Laugh, learn, love.
It's the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show.
Go ahead and spoil her.
Don't spoil them.
Go ahead and spoil her.
Lies. It's the Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Podcast Show. Oh, yeah. Do what God does. Don't spoil them.
And that's our show.
We love you. God loves you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. We'll get those love language real soon, too. We got a couple other things about your phone.
I'm about to go to bed. It's late. Out.
Spoil me. Come put my pajamas on.